HOA tried to ban my parking spot, so I parked a tank and rolled over their rules. I never wanted to start a war on my front lawn, but sometimes peace only comes after someone hears the blast. I'm Cole Maddox. I'm not the kind of guy who seeks out conflict. I'm a former Army mechanic, 12 years active duty, 2 tours in Kandahar, and 1 bullet scar I don't talk about unless I've had a beer or 2. When I left the service, I swore I was done with authority, rules, and people who use power as a hobby. So when I moved into Cypress Hollow, a no HOA neighborhood on paper, I figured I'd found a place where I could finally breathe. I was wrong. I moved in with my wife, Sarah, and our rescue pit bull, Duke. I parked my F-350 diesel in our driveway because the garage was still full of boxes. Big truck, sure but legal, street approved, nothing wild. That's when the notes started. This truck is unsightly. Your vehicle exceeds community size aesthetics. Consider a more modest mode of transportation. Each one signed Cypress Hollow Property Integrity Council. I'd never heard of them. That's because they didn't exist. Enter Karen, Karen Pennington, pastel scarf, click-clack heels, and a dog that looked more like a mop than a mammal. First time I met her, she introduced herself like she was the neighborhood mayor. I'm the chair of the CHP. She said, smug like she was announcing a Nobel Prize. What's that? I asked. Oh, we're the guardians of Cypress's charm. We keep the hollow from going hollow. She laughed like that meant something. A week later, I got a formal-looking letter demanding I remove my truck from the driveway or face neighborhood sanctions. My wife was furious. I was confused. So I asked around. No one had heard of the Property Integrity Council. Some thought it was a social club. Others figured Karen had made it up. Turns out, they were all right. So I ignored the letter. That's when Karen escalated. She filed a noise complaint about my truck starting up at 6:30 a.m. when I left for work. Filed a visual violation for a spare tire I left on the side. Then, she actually left a note saying, Duke, our pit bull was too intimidating and disrupts suburban peace. I confronted her on my porch. Calm. Civil, ma'am. There is no HOA here. I'm within all city codes. She smiled, syrupy and condescending. There's the law, and then there's community comfort. I laughed. You might want to step off my property. She didn't blink. You're not a good fit here. Mr. Maddox, some of us are prepared to enforce standards. That's when I knew what I was dealing with. Not a neighbor, a wannabe dictator. So I got petty, started leaving my truck idling just a little longer in the mornings, put in a small flagpole next to my driveway with the words, free to park on it. And then came the day I found a large yellow sticker slapped on my truck windshield. You are in violation of vehicle code, remove or be towed. That was it. That was the moment I said to myself, if it's a battle you want, lady, you're gonna get a war. And I knew just how to wage it. See, I have a buddy named Wes who owns a military surplus yard 2 counties over. That place is like Disneyland for veterans. Helicopter shells, decommissioned Humvees, even tanks. That's when the idea hit me. Wes owed me a favor. Can I borrow the Abrams, I asked? Wes laughed. You serious, I grinned. I'm real damn serious. 2 days later, I had a flatbed truck backed into my lawn and a real full-sized, demilitarized M60 main battle tank rolling onto the grass. Neighbors stared. Phones came out. Karen sprinted across the street, screeching like she'd seen a ghost. You can't, this is terrorism. No, I said. Arms crossed. This is parking. I installed a small sign in front of it until my truck is welcome. This will do. Social media did the rest. TikToks, YouTube Shorts, Facebook videos with titles like Veteran Gets Revenge on HOA with a Tank. It exploded. But Karen wasn't done trying to regain control. She filed complaints with the city, the sheriff's office, and even tried to contact the National Guard. None of them cared. But I wasn't satisfied with just shaking her up. Because under all that noise, I'd found something worse. Karen was running an actual scam using the fake Property Integrity Council to collect donations from residents too scared or confused to question her. And now I had proof. I didn't set out to expose a fraud, but when you poke a Karen with a tank, the whole damn nest shakes loose. Turns out Karen had been running her little fake HOA racket for over 3 years. The Cypress Hollow Property Integrity Council. Nothing but a collection of Word docs and a Gmail account, but she had fooled people, especially the elderly. I found one neighbor, Mr. Denner, a retired school teacher, who'd paid her $400 over the last year in enforcement fees because she claimed his mailbox was too urban. Another woman, Sophia, a single mom, said Karen threatened to fine her for unapproved laundry visibility when she hung sheets on a line in her own backyard. It was all intimidation, all fake, and it made me sick. So I got organized. With help from Wes and a few veteran buddies, I printed out flyers, "Have you been fined by the fake HOA?" We went door to door, collected stories, gathered emails, and we built a wall of evidence. Meanwhile, the tank kept sitting in my yard like a giant exclamation mark. People came from out of town just to see it. Some left flowers, others left thank you notes taped to the turret. Karen called the sheriff 5 more times. Finally, she got served for real. With Victor's legal help, we filed a civil suit for fraud, impersonation of an authority, and emotional distress on behalf of 10 families. Karen's first offense, I was only trying to preserve peace, but the judge saw through it fast. She'd taken over $17,000 in fees through a PayPal account linked to her dog grooming business. The city ruled the so-called CHPIC as a fraudulent, non-existent entity. Karen was fined, forced to repay every dollar, and hit with a restraining order from several households. But that wasn't the end, because the backlash that came swift and loud. Local news ran the headline, "Tank Beats Tyranny Veteran Exposes Fake HOA." Karen's name went viral. Her business, once thriving on Yelp, was review-bombed into oblivion. Parents pulled out of her weekend dog yoga class. She eventually moved out quietly, early in the morning, under a blanket of shame and a moving truck covered in tape. And the tank, it stayed 1 more week until I returned it, with a fresh coat of wax, to Wes's yard. But its legend stayed longer. What changed after that? A lot. The neighborhood began talking again, genuinely this time. We held a barbecue in the lot where Karen used to tape violations. Kids played with water balloons. An older woman read poetry. I helped Mr. Denner repaint his too urban mailbox in bright orange just for laughs. And my truck, it parks wherever the hell it wants. Because respect isn't about power, it's about presence. About people knowing when someone has your back. I look at Duke sometimes, lounging beside that old flagpole, and I think about everything that happened. How one woman's need to control nearly turned our community into a cold, plastic imitation of order. But we fought back, with truth, with humor, and yeah, with a damn tank. Because sometimes, making noise is the only way to remind people you can't be silenced. So here's what I know now. Stand tall, even when the clipboard comes calling. Ask questions, even when the rules seem official. And if someone tries to take your peace with fake authority, roll in like thunder. Call to action. Have you ever faced a fake rule or bogus HOA authority? How far would you go to protect your rights? Drop your story, opinion, or support below. Let's talk about community, courage, and the line between control and justice.